All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is another edition of Steel City Sports Talk with Big Rich and Adam, who will be here in a little bit. He's rolling a little behind tonight. He's on assignment, so he'll be here in just a little bit. But we got a very special guest with us tonight. The Pirates this weekend will be having a series against the Philadelphia Phillies, and we decided to go to the source. We wanted to get into this series, so we went to the guy that knows more about Philadelphia sports than anybody I know, as well as a bunch of other things that we'll get into throughout the course of the show. Good friend from the Stick to Wrestling podcast group and a lot of other podcasts that you hear out there in the wrestling realm, Mr. Jammie Ward. Jammie, how's it going, buddy?
It's going great, Rich. Thanks for inviting me to talk something besides wrestling for a change.
Well, I appreciate you jumping on. Jammie's a part also of our fantasy baseball league, doing very well with that. As you mentioned the other day, it's a marathon, not a sprint, right?
That's right.
Adam, who you'll meet here in a couple minutes, he has Cal Raleigh on his team, who got his first hit in 38 at bats the other night. So,
Well, it's all ebbs and flows, Rich. Ebbs and flows.
yeah, but boy, I'll tell you what, Raleigh's gonna have to do something. I mean, a buck 60 after going 60 bombs, 100. Ugh. He's going to have one heck of a last 5 months.
Well, did he get paid off those 60 bombs yet?
I believe so.
Oh, there you go. He got paid. He's good. Until the next contract comes up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you got a point. I have to look at his contract status.
The modern day athlete.
There you go. There you go. Phillies currently are second in the National League East, 20-22 record. Haven't looked to see what they're doing tonight. The Pirates tonight are trailing Colorado 6-4 in the top of the eighth.
The
but
Phillies were losing to the Red Sox 3-1 in like the seventh. That was before I got on with you.
Yeah, but the really interesting thing to me with all of this is the division that you guys are in. The Braves have just decided to throw it into fourth gear and pull away right now. 9-game lead over you guys. And Phillies Red Sox, by the way, they are, there it is, 3-1 Red Sox final. Aroldis Chapman with the save there. So, yeah. But, big lead for the Braves currently, who are 29-13. We're a quarter of the way through the season. In your mind's eye, is it a case of the Phillies not performing, or is it the Braves being that good right now? And Jeremy, we appreciate you hopping through. Jamie, this is one of the other hosts that's on the network. He does a Detroit sports talk show. He's big in Detroit. His name's Jeremy, KCB Sports. So we appreciate him popping in. But talk to me about where you're at right now at the quarter pole and your thoughts on the division.
Well, fortunately, the Phillies have turned it around since they fired Rob Thompson. If they didn't fire Rob Thompson, the fans were just about to revolt on Phillies management. Dave Dombrowski, who I know he's a Hall of Fame GM and president and all that, yada, yada, yada. Since he's gotten here, he just gives the same rhetoric, run the team back. It was obvious after last season when, for the third straight year, the same result in the playoffs, your top hitters stop hitting, the team goes into tank, and they lose. People were tired of it. They demanded a change, and the Phillies did absolutely nothing in the offseason to really make an impactful change. They let who went to the Dodgers? Help me, Rich. I'm having a senior moment. It was with the Cubs. Tucker. I wanted to see him sign Tucker and Bellinger and let Schwarber walk. But yeah, sure, Schwarber hits 55, 60 home runs in a season, but when it comes to postseason, he'll hit one or two in a game, and the rest of the games he's striking out, especially in big situations. I know it's blasphemous to attack your best player on your team. But, it's a postseason, and we're just kind of tired. They spoiled us. And Dombrowski did nothing in the offseason. Rob Thompson also plays this game of that everybody must play all the time. We can't play the same lineup every day. We got to take the young guys out. In the offseason, Dombrowski says that we're bringing up Justin Crawford. He's going to be our everyday center fielder. And what does Thompson do? He puts him in a platoon situation. He platoons Stott at second base. Now, the only smart thing he did was he started to play Brad Marsh. He played for the Flyers back in the day. Brandon Marsh. Some more at-bats against the lefties. And he was leading the National League in batting average as of the other day. I didn't think last year that Marsh was a major league player. But he has proved me wrong since like last August through now. He's one of the top hitters in that span of time. So it just took the Phillies a while. They got rid of Thompson. Mattingly, in interviews, has said he wants to win every game. He has been replacing all the hitters in the lineup, like putting the B team out there all together. He's mixing the B team in with the A team. And this is only the fourth game he's lost since he's taken over. He's taken the Phillies from the bottom of the division, like you mentioned, up to second place. If they hadn't lost 5 out of 6 to the Braves and even, had split that, after tonight, they'll probably be 10 out. They'd only be 7 out. But still, even at 10 out this early, it's not over. The Braves, these Braves have the habit of getting a lot of injuries. So the division's not over yet. The Phillies can still rebound and take the division. I'll be happy if they just make the wild card, and hopefully they'll add another solid hitter to this lineup. And that's exactly what they need. Garcia's gotten off to a slow start, but he's starting to pick up now. So as far as the Phillies are concerned, I'm just going to sit back and, as we mentioned, it's a marathon, not a sprint, the Major League Baseball season, just like fantasy baseball. You just got to sit back and not panic, but you still got to be aggressive and get somebody when, Stevie Wonder can see what the problems are. Dombrowski should be making these moves instead of just sitting there doing nothing.
Well, yeah, and by the way, Marsh is 350 leading the major leagues.
Majors, right?
At 350, Shea Langoliers is second at 340, catcher for the A's. But yeah, I mean, as someone that watched Adolis Garcia the last few years, being in Texas, because that's where I am right now. I've been in Central Texas. The Garcia you've seen the last 2 years, I think, is the real Garcia. The Garcia we saw in 23 when the Rangers won the World Series, there were a bunch of guys that caught lightning in a bottle and played career years. That wasn't Adolis Garcia. What you're seeing now and what you saw last year, that's the real Adolis Garcia that the Rangers brought over from Cardinals for a bag of balls and a bat. But, how big of a deal? Because when I look at the pitching staff, just got Wheeler back from his injury. Andrew Painter is starting to develop into his own. Christopher Sanchez, to me, is a stud. I see nothing but good things coming for him. Aaron Nola, you just got to figure out which Aaron Nola you're getting, I guess. Yeah, but how big of a loss was Ranger Suarez?
Ranger was a big loss, but also at the same time, I just talked about the Braves and injuries. Ranger each season starts out like he's going to win a Cy Young award and then gets hurt in June, July, or August and never gets back to the form that he starts out with at the beginning of the season. Still a very solid pitcher. I would have liked to see him re-sign him. They didn't re-sign him, so I wanted somebody of that same dollar amount re-signed, and Dombrowski didn't pull the trigger. Instead, he's going with Painter. I wanted Painter up last year. They wouldn't bring Painter up. And now he's got knocked around a few times. That's going to happen to a rookie pitcher. But at least on 3 occasions, or twice, Thompson pulled him out when his pitch count was only in the 60s, and he was pitching well. And now tonight, for some reason, Donnie Baseball pulls him out after 62 pitches in 5 innings when he was grooving. He gave up a one home run to Trevor Story. That happens. You give up home runs, but then settled right back down and was mowing the Red Sox down. And he takes them out in the 6th inning, and that's when they got their 2-run home run off of Kirkring, who shouldn't even be on this team after that last postseason. I mean, mentally, I don't know how they brought him back. He has pitched well. The Philadelphia fans gave him a standing ovation the first day. He's a young guy. You can't blame what happened on him, especially when one of the Phillies relief pitchers said that they don't even practice that play on what to do. So you can't blame Kirkring for that, but he should have been sent off to someplace else so he can get his mind back in it. And now that he gave up this 2-run homer, I hope this doesn't send him into a tailspin of any kind.
Well, I hope so too. I mean, you hate it for the kid because he is a kid. I mean, isn't he like 25, 26, something like that? He was born in 01, so yeah.
Yeah, they brought him up in September, two seasons ago? And then they carried him on to the postseason roster, and he did, really well. And then the next year he did well. Even last year he wasn't bad. He shouldn't have been in that situation, of that high-pressure situation at such a young age. They had other arms, more dependable arms that they could have gone to in that situation, but he went with him. And that's one of the reasons Thompson isn't here now, because the fans hated that decision that he made. But with Wheeler back, you mentioned Wheeler. With Wheeler back, I mean, that starting rotation is really starting to cook now. And Wheeler is, despite having a rib removed, it looks, fabulous.
Talk a little bit about your bullpen, because, I mean, I know you've got Duran out there. You've got Alvarado, who I think is tremendous. And I guess, I mean, is Luzardo kind of a bounce between long relief and spot start, or what are they doing with him? But
no, Luzardo's a starter, and he's weird. I mean, he can pitch. He can look like Christopher Sanchez out there for one game, and then the next game he just gets lit up. They gave him a contract, which was probably a year early to give him the contract. But, hopefully he'll straighten himself out and he won't be a problem going forward. The bullpen, they signed Brad Keller, who has pitched very well for him so far. You got Duran on the back end, but Duran's not your typical closer where he comes in and mows them down 1, 2, 3, with strikeouts. He always makes it a little exciting. Usually gets out of it. Every now and then he'll blow one. But, he'll give you a little excitement in that bottom of the 9th inning if you're home, that pressure you just don't want at that time. But the short relief, Banks hasn't picked it up. He pitched great for him last year. Kirkring has pitched well up until tonight. And they've had a couple other guys coming in and out. So I think the bullpen will straighten itself out. It's just a matter of if the offense would come alive to help the bullpen out a little bit. They pitch better in the lead than they do when they're behind. They seem to press on pitches when they're behind. And then, there goes home runs and doubles, and there goes the game a lot of times.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the big spots on the Pirates roster. In fact, that's their glaring hole right now is their bullpen. At least you have a closer. I don't think we do. Gregory Soto or Dennis Santana or whoever, I don't know that there is a closer on this team. But this weekend, we've got some really, really interesting pitching matchups. Where we're going to have Friday, we've got Braxton Ashcraft against Aaron Nola, and then Bubba Chandler against Christopher Sanchez. And then Sunday afternoon, there is not going to be a seat available. There better not be. Let's put it that way. There better not be a seat available at PNC Park when Paul Skeens takes on Zach Wheeler.
Well, you'll see a lot of red in the stands the entire weekend. So I can
Yeah.
guarantee you there won't be any seats available on Sunday for that matchup. And you guys might as well enjoy Skeens as much as you can because this time next year he's probably going to be a Yankee or a Dodger.
I don't know with what Nutting did this past off season and what he did with Connor Griffin, which by the way, thanks to Adam, got my jersey today.
Oh, beautiful.
But um, I think that during the off season or at some point this season, and I brought this up, and I think it'd be a smart move if they put a 10-year, $400 million offer in front of Skeens, have him sign it.
I'd tell you, I'd back the Brinks truck right up to him. I wouldn't let him escape if I was the Pirates. And besides, that's good faith to your fan base by
Right.
keeping that guy around. I mean, look what has. All right, I'm looking from the outside perspective. The Pirates gave up playing baseball in the '80s. They
Mhm.
develop all these guys, and then they wind up letting them go. I mean,
Yeah.
even Barry Bonds, he ended up leaving.
Yeah. Well,
I,
and
from the outsider's view, their
right.
management just hasn't ponied up. Because when I grew up in the '70s, the Phillies and Pirates, it was hated. I mean, it was volatile, and even though I hated the Pirates, I respected the Pirates, and the two of them were always at the top of the NL East. But since
Yeah.
the late '80s, it just hasn't been that way.
Yeah. And the other thing is, they signed Griffin to that long term deal, that 9 year, 140 million deal. So, if you've got a hitter that you're making your linchpin and you take Skeens and make him your linchpin, then you can start looking at these other guys because they've got uku's of young guys, not only currently in the rotation, but like a Seth Hernandez that's down in AAA. You've got Bubba Chandler, you've got Braxton Ashcraft, you've got who's a Waco, Texas kid. He
All right.
played ball 5 minutes from my house.
I like both of
Um,
those guys a lot, Ashcraft and Chandler.
yeah, I mean, you can build a really nice young, almost a early '90s Braves type of rotation with those guys if you do it right, but you've got to have that foundation. And Skeens has got to be the foundation of the thing. Hopefully they do it. If they're smart, they'll do it. If they want the fan base to really take what they did this past year seriously, they need to put an offer in front of Skeens. If not during the season, then during the off season this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't let him get away. I mean, if he was in Philadelphia, we would massacre management for letting Skeens, walk out and walk away. I mean, they did it
Yeah,
for enough years. The Philadelphia Phillies management allowed guys to go or talk themselves out of here, like Scott Rowland did back in the early 2000s, and then finally they got their senses about them. If you put a good team out there, people will come. It's not a fallacy. What the movie said. If you build it, they will come. You build a good team, your fans are going to show up and they're going to support you in the good. And yeah, all the bandwagon fans, they're going to kind of disappear when things aren't going good. But you're still going to have over half to three quarters of that stadium filled as long as you attempt to put a good team on the field.
well, and that's part of what's disappointing me a little bit about what the Pirates are doing right now, attendance wise. Last night they had like 11,000 out there, and Skeens was on the hill. There is absolutely no reason why there should be a seat available anytime 30's on the hill. I'm sorry. That may make me get off my lawn guy or whatever you want, but anytime 30 is on the hill, there better not be an empty seat in the house. I'm sorry.
I agree with you. I mean, if Skis was in Philly, I'd make sure I was there almost every time he was on the mail.
Yeah, I mean, in most places, now I'm sure there's a lot of Pirates fans that are gun shy and they're like, okay, they're doing this year, but are they really gonna, do we want to make our investment in this team and they're gonna back out of everything next year and go back to being the team that spends 40 million a year? I don't see that being the case, but I can also see their hesitancy, or is that just completely way out of left field?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's uh, you could see why the fans doubt management, but you can also see why management can doubt the fans because they haven't constantly showed up. But management's got to give in before the fans. You got to get the fans to show up at the ballpark, and if you can keep Skeens and maybe sign one more impactful free agent. It doesn't have to be the top of the line like we were just talking about Kyle Tucker or Bellinger, but that next level of free agent, get that guy and get him in there. Look what the Phillies did when they went out and threw the boatload at Bryce Harper in 2019. It totally changed the franchise around.
Yeah.
That's what Pittsburgh needs to do. They need to make that impactful signing. I understand their minor league is pretty solid. Promote within and see what happens. I mean, and you got three solid pitchers right now,
Oh yeah, yeah,
starters.
yeah.
So
And Jared Jones will be coming back shortly from his Tommy John surgery. He's going to be back probably at the end of May, shortly after or shortly before Memorial Day. So that's another good young arm that's in there that's throwing 100, right after Tommy John surgery.
nice.
Um, so the starting pitching ain't the issue. That bullpen, and they're hitting the ball. They're hitting the ball and they're playing better defense. Getting Ryan, I've been on the Ryan O'Hearn train. You can ask Adam when he pops in. I was on the Ryan O'Hearn train last year. That Ryan O'Hearn would make a huge difference to this team, not only in the field and at the plate, but in the dugout. He's that guy that can be a leader in the dugout. They get Brandon Lau, which I thought was a great move as well. They signed Marcelo Zuna, which the jury's still out on that move, but if he starts hitting homers, then that'll change things a little bit. But he's not even hitting his weight right now.
No, you never know
Um,
what you're getting with Ozuna. He could
right.
be he can look like an MVP, and he can look like garbage.
Right. But, then they've got a couple of young guys like Nick Gonzalez, who is a really, really good ball player. He's not going to hit 15 or 20 home runs. He reminds me a lot of Michael Young that played for the Rangers. He reminds me a lot of him. Very good defensively, will drive in, will get a clutch hit. Great. To me, he would be the perfect number two hitter on this team. Um, but we'll see how that all plays out. But he can play second, he can play third, just a matter of where they position Lau or Triolo. So the series this weekend, I'm really looking forward to because I think it's going to be a low scoring series, even though they're playing at PNC, which is a little bit of an offensive friendly park. With the pitchers that are going to be out there and the defense on both sides, because the Phillies defense is really good too. I think this is going to probably be one of those where we're going to see a lot of 4-1, 3-2 kind of a thing. We're not going to see an 11-10 ball game.
Now, well, you might see one game where the Phillies win like 8 or 9 to 1 or 2. That's the Phillies' mo. They'll hit one game and then the other two games, if they win, they're going to squeak it out. It doesn't matter what ballpark they're in. As soon as Turner, Harper, and Schwarber get hot, the ball's going over the fence. But yeah, I could see it being a tight series, and it has been between the Phillies and the Pirates the last couple of years. And it's not like the Phillies have gotten the best of the Pirates every time. The Pirates came in here and swept the Phillies either last year or the year before,
Uh-huh.
when I thought for sure it was going to be the other way around.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this series. I know it's early in the season. If I remember correctly, there will be another series in Philadelphia. Yeah, in June, 4 game set at the end of June, 1st of July. So it won't be the last time that our two teams will be hooking up. But it should be a really fun series to watch. Hopefully
Yep.
competitive.
Yeah,
That's what I want.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm just disappointed that the Phillies redid their screens on how they post the scores because we can't see the poop anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you're right.
P 0 P. The Phillies
Yeah,
redesigned things, so I don't know if it's still that way in Pittsburgh or not, but at least in Philadelphia we lost the poop.
yeah. The Pirates did too because now you've got visitors over the home team.
Oh,
So
okay.
you've got little rectangle there. So yeah, the poop is eliminated in Pittsburgh too.
Yeah, it's a good
But
running
yeah,
joke
that
for a
was
while
always
though.
pretty cool. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And sometimes what the Pirates were putting on the field, well, it kind of matched the Chiron there. Um, unfortunately, but we're excited about this. But with having you on, and of course, the series just finished up with the 76ers. I know you're a big Philly fan, Philly 76ers fan too. Um, Talk to me about what the team looks like. You've got a former Baylor Bear on that team and VJ Edgecombe, who I think is going to be a phenomenal player. But you've got Joel Embiid, who I don't know what his status is going to be. Tyrese Maxey, is he going to continue to be that guy and kind of team up with Edgecombe? What do you see as the future of this Sixers team after that exit in the playoffs?
Well, they took the first step. They got rid of Daryl Morey, who I understand he inherited a horrible situation, but he just never did what it took. I mean, he got a washed up Harden in here and got something for Ben Simmons. This past season, we had high hopes for Jared McCain, who, when he was drafted last year, unfortunately screwed up his knee, was out the rest of the year. He came in, he played well in the beginning, and then he traded him off. And that's all he did. He lost an asset instead of gaining an asset halfway through the season. Paul George, hopefully the next GM can find a way to get him out of here. For as great and as a warrior of a player that Joel Embiid is, it's time for him to move on. He plays, I think this year they said he only played 25 games all season. And then it came to the playoffs, and once again, Joel gets hurt. Never his fault because the guy usually plays like a warrior out there. I've seen him take time off, but for the most part, the guy's a warrior. I've liked him, since he got here. But you just can't have a guy that's only going to be a part-time player hogging up all that salary cap. So hopefully, some way the Sixers can find their way out of it. I love Maxey. I love Edgecombe. They're great to build on. It's your foundation, and hopefully, the next general manager can just find a way to bring this team, back up to where the Sixers, should be, where they're contending, for a title. I mean, we had the opposite with the Flyers. The Flyers got swept by Carolina, but they were in every single game. The first game, Carolina kind of dominated. They only won, 3-1. But game 2 went to overtime. Game 3 ended up 4-1. But it was 2-2 going in deep into the third period before they scored a goal and then got the empty netter. So, and then losing in overtime in game 4 on Saturday night. So the Flyers were on the upswing. Now, I have nothing against Pittsburgh when it comes to the football or baseball, but when we get into hockey, I'm kind of jealous. You guys got the cups and we don't. I respected Mario Lemieux. I had no problem. Just like the Philadelphia fans gave him a big ovation his last time through. But Sidney Crosby, I'm sorry, he's a sissy in my opinion. Yeah, he wins the cups, but he's soft. No, you didn't have to see any more than him take the dive in the circle there. What was it, game 1, where he didn't even get hit by the stick and he was diving. So it was sweet to see the Flyers win that series. But at least they're on the upswing with the Sixers. I'll pray that the next general manager can do something here. They announced they're keeping Nick Nurse. I like Nick Nurse as a coach. So you give him some talent to work with, I'm sure he can get this team back up to where it needs to be in no time at all, as long as the next GM gives him something to work with.
Joel Embiid this season, 38 games, 27 points,
7.
8 boards, and 4 assists. Um, Not bad. I mean, and he's one of a dying breed because he'll get in the center and just keep himself in there and beat people around and all that kind of stuff in there. And that does lead to some injuries. But in your mind's eye, and I was avoiding the Flyers thing, but in my heart of
Sorry.
hearts, it didn't bother me at all to see y'all get swept in the second round.
As
But
it
at the
should be.
same
You're
time,
you're a sports fan. I'm a sports fan. You're not supposed to like. We're from the same state. You're not supposed to like us. We're not supposed to like you. That's sports fandom at its best.
yeah, you know, it, going back to the Sixers though, your mind's eye, you're the owner of the team. Who would you like to see as your GM?
See, I don't know who's out there. To be honest with you, I'm not. I'm a Sixer fan, but I'm not a big NBA guy, so I don't know who's available to bring in. I just don't want to see anybody that's ever had anything to do with the Sixers before. Uh, they've gone into some retreads in the past, just like the Flyers have. I really want to see somebody from the outside come in and straighten this team out. I mean, we have the worst owner uh, in Joshua Harris. He's an absentee owner. He's never around. He never does interviews for the Philadelphia Press or anything. Compared to Jeffrey Laurie or Middleton that owns the Phillies, you never hear from Joshua Harris. He's too busy with the Devils, and now he's too busy in Washington D.C. getting his new stadium, being in the Epstein files. Yeah, I'm taking my cheap shot at him because I don't like Joshua Harris. I want him to sell the Sixers in the worst way. They when Pat Croce owned the team, he was a Philadelphia guy. He hired 2 guys for his first season, and they stunk up the joint. He had a town hall meeting. The people told him they didn't like him. He fired them both, brought Larry Brown in, and Larry just gave Larry Brown the keys, and Larry Brown almost took him to a championship. But nobody was going to beat Kobe and Shaq back then. It was impossible.
Yeah.
So that's what needs to
Well,
happen again. Somebody has to come in and do what it needs to be done.
and it has to be super tough for an owner to show any sort of community loyalty when you have an NBA team in Philadelphia, you have an NHL team in Jersey, and you have another team. Was it MLS team that he has in Washington D.C.?
Yes.
So you're in 3 different markets. You're throwing 3 different sets of plates up in the air. It's got to be tough to get the fan base behind you, knowing that you're not really part of us. I can fully understand where you're coming from, but you brought up Jeffrey Lurie, and of course the Eagles, 2 years removed from a Super Bowl. Um, the schedules come out fully tomorrow. We already know Thanksgiving. The Eagles will be making the trip down here
Yes.
to Arlington to beat the Cowboys. By the way, I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about this with anybody else within the group. So I am Central Texas's biggest Cowboys hater. I am the diehard Steeler fan.
Oh, I like you even more
Um,
now, Rich.
I hate the Cowboys with every fiber of my soul, but I am one of those guys that doesn't just hate them to hate them. I hate them because A, they're delusional, and B, that they just make moves that make you scratch your head and want to jump in a river, which leads into a move that they made about 3 weeks ago with your team that I wasn't ultra happy about, and I still want to find out who spilled the beans. But the Philadelphia Eagles, first round draft pick Makai Lemon out of USC, wide receiver. Does this mean that Jeffrey Lurie is really now shopping AJ Brown and conceivably sending him out of Philly?
Yeah, everything that sports talk and everything I'm reading, it's all but done. He's going to New England on June 1st. So I don't want him to leave, but I will say in that playoff game last year, it looked like he just quit on the team. There was a couple passes where he didn't go all out, to try to get, and a couple that he dropped that look like they're normally AJ Brown wouldn't miss. And I don't want another TO situation. If you can get something for him now, get whatever you can get. Now, don't give him away. Don't do what the Sixers did with Charles Barkley, the 5-for-1 once upon a time. And, none of those players ever turned out to be anything for the Sixers. Get something for him. Otherwise, then keep him here and keep him unhappy. But it sounds like that's a done deal, and he's off to New England at this point. And as for the Cowboys,
yeah,
why would you make a deal with the Eagles? But God bless Jerry Jones. I hope the guy never dies because he does nothing but helps the Eagles out all the time.
Because you really want to know why? And I know people will deny this, but you know who the Cowboys hate even more than the Eagles?
McCarthy?
The Steelers.
Oh, from the Super Bowls in the 70s.
The Cowboys, and this is a known fact, the Cowboys are only America's team because the Steelers turned it down.
Really? I've never heard that one.
NFL Films came to them and Art Rooney said, we don't want to be America's team. We're the world's team.
Nice.
So they turned it down and then they went to the Cowboys. Okay. They played second fiddle to us all the time, except for that one Super Bowl where Neil O'Donnell's the best player the Dallas Cowboys ever had. And he made Larry Brown $80 million. But that so if they have the opportunity to put the screws to the Steelers, they will. And they knew that was who the Steelers were going after, was Mekhi Lemon. And that's okay. I mean, I like the guy that the Steelers got, the offensive tackle, Hennicher. But that's okay. But I do like what the Eagles did this year in the draft. But what do you look at as this team gets ready to go into the 2026 season? I know there's been a lot of rumblings about Jalen Hurts and him not really doing what needs to be done, not really playing the offense the way that the offense needs to be played. And is Nick Sirianni? I mean, I listen to a little bit of Philadelphia radio, but not much. Do you foresee Sirianni, despite all his success, being on the hot seat?
No, I think he's pretty well set, at least through this season. Again, he keeps changing offensive coordinators, which last year's his fault because that was his guy. He promoted, I'm forgetting the name, but he promoted him because he's been with them since 2021, through both Super Bowls. It just didn't work out. I don't think Jalen Hurts cared for the guy, and it sure looks that way. The way he played, he just wasn't happy with the offense. But we've been in 2 Super Bowls in the last 4 years. I give Sirianni and Howie and Jeffrey Lurie all the slack they want because I have confidence that no matter what, the Philadelphia Eagles will be contenders for the Super Bowl once again. Whether they're going to be the number 1 seed, maybe not, probably not, but they do have a habit of catching lightning in a bottle. And it's how you're playing at the end of the year. And if they can turn things around, they went to the Super Bowl, they had a bad season. Won the Super Bowl, had an okay season. So hopefully this is a trend and they turn it around and they're back in the Super Bowl one more time. But yeah, they get as much rope as they want with me. They haven't really pissed me off too bad in the last so many years.
Yeah, and it seems like, they've definitely got a playbook for success. But from what I read and listened to, Hurts was really upset that Kellen Moore left to take that job in New Orleans as the head coach. From what I've heard and read, those two hit it off, and they were like peanut butter and jelly. Worked really well together, and you could tell on the field. I mean, heck, MVP status, right?
Oh yeah, both years they had an offensive coordinator that um, was really well. I mean, there was rumblings at the time that the Eagles were considering making Kellen Moore assistant head coach and giving him a bump up to a head coach salary so he wouldn't leave. But that
Wow.
didn't seem to work out for whatever reason. But that was the rumblings right after they won the Super Bowl that he would get bumped up. But you know what? I can't blame him for leaving and wanting to have a shot. Because who knows that shot ever comes back up if he stays?
No, that's true. That is true. Or how long it would take to get it there. Some coaches are there 15, 20 years. Sirianni's been there, what, 8, 9 years?
Yeah, and I
Something
got a
like.
couple friends that are Saints fans, and they really like what Kellen Moore did last season. So a
Yeah,
few
one
more
of the
tweaks, they'll
hosts
be
that's.
contenders.
Yeah, we've got a host on here. His name's Marcus that on the network that is a Saints guy. And he was real happy with what he had done, the progress they made, especially with Shuck.
Yeah,
Because everybody was like, who's this guy? And he seemed to really start to be a halfway decent quarterback by the time the season's over. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to see what's going to happen this season. I'm with you. I think the Eagles, are they going to be in the postseason? Yeah. Are they going to be the number one seed? I don't know. But that NFC is just so stinking wide open right now,
and
especially
there's
with the
a
moves in the offseason.
and there's a lot of good teams. I mean, that NFC West is going to be nasty. Forget the
Yeah.
Cardinals, but just the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Niners. That's going to be a nasty division.
Well, and the North too, with the Lions, the Vikings,
Yep.
the Bears, and the Packers. I mean, adding Kyler Murray, as much as people just kind of poo-poo that, you're giving Kyler Murray, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and T.J. Hawkinson to throw to.
Yep.
I'll sign up for that all day long. If they protect him at all, he's going to have a really good. And J.J. McCarthy he's going to be holding the clipboard.
Yeah. Now, hopefully, for those Viking fans out there, Murray can stay healthy. Another guy that just every time you think he's ready to take that next step, something happens.
Yeah.
It's not like he's doing anything on purpose. Just something always seems to, happen with him. So hopefully he can straighten himself out. Maybe McCarthy will learn a thing or two, but it sure doesn't look like McCarthy will be starting anytime soon in Minnesota. And I actually liked McCarthy. I liked the draft pick. Boy, can that guy rifle a pass? Maybe too hard. He's got to learn touch. But boy, that guy
Yeah.
got a strong arm.
Maybe he's got to go someplace else. Maybe he's got to go to like a Miami or Arizona or something like that. Because if Kyler plays the way Kyler can play, and like you said, stays healthy, McCarthy's not going to see the field.
No,
I'm sorry.
and that
There's
that happens with a lot of quarterbacks. They just need that fresh change to again take that next step. And that's one of my favorite lines, taking the next step, and hopefully he can be something someday. But yeah, back to Murray. Murray is I've been a he's on the smaller side, but I've been a fan of his. So just stay healthy, Murray, and you could be an All-Pro quarterback.
Yeah, you're right. Now, you and I met through a completely different aspect of what we're talking about tonight. So we got to use the last portion of the show to talk some wrestling. You and I met through a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, John McAdam, and his Stick to Wrestling podcast and the team and all that stuff out there. And John, I hope I didn't overstep my bounds by sharing all this in the group today, the Facebook group. But so you're a Northeastern guy. I was born in the Northeast, but I grew up in Texas. So let's talk a little Northeast wrestling, especially from what we saw, 70s, 80s ish, which for those folks that don't know, there was this thing called the territory. And for all you kids sitting around let's sit around the computer, kids, and let's talk about an old time story called the Territories. But 70s and 80s WWF, the pre national expansion, the pre WrestleMania. My grandmother and my mother, Bruno Sammartino, ran the roost. If it wasn't him, it was Dominic DeNucci. One of those two guys. Talk about your beginnings in watching pro wrestling and how WWE or WWF at the time, and actually WWWF at the time. How you got started in that, and who were your favorite guys, and let everybody know about all that.
Yeah, I had a half brother that used to come up from Delaware, and he would spend the weekends with us every now and then. And he would put wrestling on, and I would sit there and watch it with him. And that's where I got to know who Bruno Sammartino was, and Chief Jay Strongbow, and the venerable Pittsburgh's own Dominic DeNucci, along with Bruno. Bruno's a Pittsburgh guy too. But so that's like in 73, 74. And then in 1976, just flicking through on a Sunday night, and it's Florida Championship Wrestling on a TV, but they're doing promos for the Ali Inoki fight, along with Bruno against Stan Hansen, and Stan Hansen's there with a tombstone that says R.I.P. Bruno Sammartino with the date of the big show at Shea Stadium. That
Isn't that the match where he broke his neck?
No, this is the rematch after the broken neck.
Gotcha. Okay.
At Shea Stadium. And then they'll have a third one in Madison Square Garden later on. But so that kind of caught my attention. And we get into 76, and if I'm home and it's on, I'm just happen to be watching it. And then the big breakthrough was in 1978 when my neighbor got cable television. Kid lived across the street from me. He got cable television before I did, and he invited me over to watch Bruno Sammartino against superstar Billy Graham in a steel cage match on the old cable channel Prism in Philadelphia, because it aired the Spectrum shows. And then I started going over his house all the time to watch that once a month, started catching the WWF TV shows, and then just became, eventually I got Prism later that year, and I became a big wrestling fan, just going on from there. And with the WWF or WWWF being my home promotion. But Bob Backlund's really my first real champion that I got to watch a lot of.
Well, you'll remember this. When I first started watching wrestling, I would watch with my grandmother. And we had this thing on Saturday nights called Chiller Theater. And one of the Pittsburgh weather guys, his name was Bill Cardill. And he hosted this thing called Chiller Theater. And they'd run these spooker movies, A lot of stuff that's like on Svengoolie right now. Okay.
We had Dr.
And
Shock,
then,
so I know what you mean.
There you go. Yeah. And then they would run WWF wrestling. A lot. It was the shows from Allentown, but Joe McCune, your ring announcer, Joe McCune, that kind of thing. All right. Well, one of the first matches I saw was Blackjack Mulligan against this jobber. And I don't know about you, I'm not against using the term jobber. If they're okay with me using it, then I'm going to use it. Steve Lombardi has said so. So, but remember whenever Mulligan would use the claw, and they would put the big X on the screen.
Yes.
He put the claw on there, and I'm hiding behind my grandmother. I'm like 4 or 5 years old. I am scared to death. I'm thinking he's going to squeeze this man's head off. It was still real to me, damn it. And, that was my first introduction. Well, I did that 2 or 3 times. And then my dad, 6'5", 3 bills, former underwater demolition in the Navy.
Wow.
Comes up and he says, "Kid, I'm not going to let you watch this anymore if you keep hiding behind your grandma. You either watch it or you don't." Okay. So I sucked it up the next week, and he put the claw. It seemed like Mulligan was on every week for a while there. Am I imagining things, or
Are you talking about the 1982 run of
this
Blackjack
would have
Law
been
or
like
the
the late
1981?
70s, late 70s run.
Okay, the first run. Okay,
Yeah, this would
yeah,
have been like 76, 77.
yes, yeah, he was in around that time.
Yeah. And so I sat through it, and I bit my lip and all that stuff because I wanted to watch it. And then 2, 3 years later, both my grandmothers passed away. We moved to Texas. Um, and right about that time, we found that wrestling was on Saturday nights from Will Rogers Coliseum. And then on Sunday mornings, they had the show from the Sportatorium. And it was same organization, but two completely different shows. You
Yeah,
had
I
a
used to
lot
get the
more,
tapes. Yeah, it was like
yeah, a
two
lot
different
more.
promotions in a way.
It really was. That's where I got to see like the first times I saw guys like Al Madrill and Jose Lothario and Gary Hart and Kabuki. Kabuki freaked me out too. But then I saw the beginnings of the Von Erichs. I saw David's match with Harley Race that really put David on the map, and that kind of thing. So I started seeing that. And then you were talking about the cable. We got cable at the house, and my dad was flipping channels the one day. And he's going, "What is this?" And it was channel 17. Rest in peace, Ted Turner.
Yes.
Saturday afternoon, 5:05 Central, Georgia Championship Wrestling. And here I see Gordon Soley and Ole Anderson standing there doing commentary. And we're watching the Road Warriors starting out, and I mean, just all Tommy Rich. I was a big Tommy Rich guy, and actually got to work with him many years later in Memphis, when they were doing the revival of the Memphis stuff when I was doing radio out there. But and then I saw the Philly shows from the Spectrum that they used to show the whole card like once
Yeah.
a month. What channel was that on?
It was a network called Prism, the Philadelphia Regional In-Home Sports and Movies, which was like an HBO type, but it was Philly, Philly centric. But it was also then would spread in when the '80s came along. It would spread up into New England. I don't think it ever spread south or west too much.
It did. It
Oh,
came to
really?
Texas
Wow, I
because I
never
can
knew that.
remember my dad hollering to me the one day. He said, "Hey, kid, come here." And I came in and he said, "Check this out." And because he watched it way back in the day. He was Killer Kowalski, Buddy Rogers, that kind of thing, Strangler Lewis, all that kind of jazz. I'm watching this show from Philadelphia. And they drop the mic thing out of the ceiling, and it's got the rainbow deal for the Spectrum on the
Yes.
mic and all that. And it seemed like it was once a month, and we got to see the whole card.
Yes, it
And
was
that was
live. It was Saturday nights live. It wasn't until Vince Jr. bought the thing from his dad that he changed it to Sunday afternoons. I think it was sometime in early '83. He stopped the live airings and they showed it, tape delay on Sundays instead, which I was fine with.
well, that was one of the first times I ever saw like Jimmy Snuka and Don Morocco,
Right.
Magnificent Morocco, um, guys like that. And I'm going, wow. First time I saw Snuka come off the top, I went, what in the world? Uh, and of course, I'm getting older. I'm getting more familiar with this stuff. Well, I'm starting to go to the matches a lot more in Texas, so I'm starting to get to know the guys better. And I was very fortunate to get to know a lot of the guys, but I was also very fortunate that then Mid South started showing in Dallas, and Championship Wrestling from Florida started showing in Dallas. And then every now and then, playing with the dial and that, you're flipping through your cable box, and you know how you would get the snowy stuff, but you could kind of tell what it was.
And you roll that thing on the end of the box and get that channel to come in just a little bit clearer.
Right. I'm messing with that, and I'm getting Memphis.
Oh, beautiful.
So I'm sitting here going, I'm thinking, man, and none of the wrestlers are the same, which is what really had me kind of scratching my head. And then I would see something like, you know, Tommy Rich would have been in Georgia all this time, and then I see him on Memphis TV, and I'm going, wait a minute, wasn't wait a minute, why isn't he in Georgia? Or this guy going here or that guy going there. And I'm thinking, what in the world? I was just so fortunate I had all those hitting at one time. And my mom was like, I don't care. She would go in the other room. She had zero desire to watch it. My dad, he'd watch it with me until wrestling made that turn where it became more show than go.
Hmm.
He would watch as much of it as I was wanting to watch.
Yeah, my
So
parents
I
would
got very
watch
lucky.
the Prism shows with me all the time. And when we got TBS in '81, all the way up through until always till Black Saturday, the three of us would sit down and watch Georgia Championship Wrestling. My parents supported my wrestling habit.
Yeah, mine did too. And I remember Black Saturday. I'm trying. Who was doing Georgia? Was it? It was still Soley, but it was somebody else doing it with Soley in like 81,
Well,
82.
Freddie Miller was the guy that was shilling the events, and then on Black Saturday, here
Right.
comes it comes on, and here's Freddie Miller, and he introduces, you know, Vince McMahon, and then Freddie becomes the host of the show because Vince was just sending in tapes from other
Right. But I
reads, and
remember, I remember now that I'm remembering this a little better. The first probably year or two worth of shows that I saw in Georgia,
he had Piper as
it was
his
Gordon and Piper. That's who it was. Okay.
right,
Yeah.
and every
Because then
now
you
and
have
then,
Bob Armstrong and guys like that in.
right, every now and then, other guys would, after Piper stopped, they would have different guys would do a lot of matches here and there. Only most of the time because he was he owned it by that point. So
Yeah.
Ole wanted to make sure he could get his own angles and everything over.
Yeah, and even then, I mean, I was a big Brad Armstrong fan. I until the day he stopped wrestling, if he would have had any kind of mic skill and
And,
personality,
and I knew Brad a little bit. I mean, I'm not going to get into it, but I started hanging out with the wrestlers through Dennis Carluzzo in the late '80s, and I got to meet a crap load of them. And I got to meet Brad on several occasions. Brad Armstrong is one of the funniest guys I've ever met in my life. But it
Mhm.
was like when that green light came on or red light, whatever's on top of the camera, he just couldn't translate what he needed to translate, and it's a shame because he was so masterful in the ring.
Yeah, and see, I was fortunate and it's similar to what you were as I got a little bit older that I got to be around and get to know a little bit of the guys in world class. Got to know Iceman King Parsons real well. Got to know Brian Diaz real well. Became really good friends with Kerry. In fact, I saw Kerry 3 days before he killed himself.
Oh,
Um,
what
and it was
what a
funny because I didn't see him in Texas. I was going to college. I was in Annville, Pennsylvania, and they had a show at Hershey Park Arena.
okay. I've been there.
He was wrestling Kamala, and that was still back in the day when security walked guys to the ring.
Right.
And when I knew he was going to be there, and walked him down to the ring and saw him there, and then I saw him shortly after that, and then 3 days later, I get the phone call from my dad. He said, "You hear about Carrie?" I said, "No." He said, "Yeah." Uh,
Yeah.
That
I
that
mean,
was that
it's
was that was
tragic.
tough.
Yeah.
David was tough. Bruiser Brody was tough. I was a big Bruiser Brody fan too. So nice of him to join us at this late time. Jamie Ward, Adam McNally.
How you doing?
Hello, Adam. How are you?
Well, I just walked through the door.
Well,
We've already moved to wrestling.
I was a mailman for 40 years, so I can feel your pain.
So you understand.
Yeah, fully.
But yeah, we've moved to wrestling now. So
Oh, okay. What are we talking? What are we talking about here?
old school when we got started watching in the territory days and that kind of stuff.
That sounds like 70s, 80s.
About that.
Yeah, around there.
Adam's a pup, Jamie.
Oh, okay.
You what, 43?
Look, Bobby the Brain Heaton. Who we want? George Animal Steel. Green
You
Tongue.
know,
Oh, I remember George when he could talk and gave lucid interviews.
Wow. I never saw that. The first time I saw George the Animal Steel was the Green Tongue, and he would bite the turnbuckle and rip the turnbuckle off. And of course, you saw the styrofoam go flying everywhere and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
saw
that's
him
the
at the
furthest I
Spectrum
remember seeing.
do an interview. It wasn't until he came back in I want to say 80 or 81 that he stopped talking. I didn't say he wasn't still nuts, doing that nutty thing, but he actually was lucid and would do an interview.
Wow. So when did you start watching it, Adam?
Um, you know, I guess the Saturday morning when it was on Saturday morning kind of got me hooked. Instead of watching cartoons, I would be watching wrestling. I think it came on at like 10 a.m. and it went like
And like,
10 to 12, the replay from last night or whatever.
oh, okay. So kind of like Superstars and All American and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, I don't remember the names of it. I just remember it was WWF. Am I still allowed to say WWF?
As long
I
as you're
think
not
you are if it fits the time. Right. Isn't that
and you're
right?
not right. As long as you're not hitting a panda with a chair, you're okay.
There's that too. That whole thing was crazy whenever they went all those years and they ran parallel. I mean, it's not like the World Wildlife Fund just popped out of nowhere. They had been around for a lot of years too. And then all of a sudden that lawsuit came about and it's like, okay, we got to change our name.
Yeah, well, wrestling was starting to WWF was starting to get big then. That's when Junior took over, and I have heard that they had a problem once upon a time, and Senior kind of paid them off, and then when Junior took over, he stopped paying them, and that's where everything
Oh, okay.
escalated. So in order to get paid, they had to go after him, and it took almost 20 years for it to finally take effect.
Yeah, because wasn't it during the Attitude Era when they
Yeah,
actually changed it?
2002, right? Yeah, or sometime in 2002. Get the F out. I remember that.
Right.
'Cause
Right.
Flair came in at the end of 2001, so it was in 2002 sometime.
Yeah. Have you had a chance? And I don't know. This is for both of you guys. Have either of you guys had a chance to watch any of these three documentaries that have come out recently with the Von Erichs, Shawn Michaels, or Ric Flair? Or I'm sorry, Hulk Hogan.
I saw the Hogan one. I haven't seen the other two yet.
How
Rich,
is it? I've seen
I'm
I've seen the
either
Von Erich, but not the others. Huh?
I'm either podcasting or barely watching TV, so I did not see any of them. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I did see a short today though where Bret the Hitman Hart said, "When are these guys going to learn how to throw fake punches that look real?" I don't know when he said that, but I saw it today and I started
he's been
laughing
saying that since 1997.
because he said,
Yeah.
what was it, WrestleMania 7, where he was throwing those punches, and he said, that none of them hurt, but they all looked like they really connected. And then he's like, I watched these guys today, and it's like an or a closed fist to a slap and a quick close. It's not even real. They were just acting and getting paid for it a lot more than I did.
Yeah, it's a different ball game than it was. I mean, even the 80s was different than the 70s, 90s from the 80s. You don't even recognize today's game as compared to the 70s, and that's actually good for just about all sports. They're all played differently, broadcast differently, look different, and it's just moving on with the times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw the Hulk Hogan one. It was okay. Nothing that I really didn't know. That my biggest takeaway from it was I was surprised how close it seemed that him and Linda still were past after a few years of marriage. It seemed like they kind of patched things up, and while they never got back together again, they kind of tolerated each other. And even for the funeral, she's sitting with his current wife.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen the Hogan one. I saw the Von Erichs one.
Any different from
And in fact,
the other two they did?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And there's actually two different ones. There's one that A&E did that WWE put together. It's part of their biography thing. That one they get a lot into Kevin's wife and that kind of thing, talking about stuff. Um, and a lot of the other guys that you haven't heard a lot from. But you didn't see a lot of David Manning. You didn't see a lot of guys like that. You see a decent amount of like Brian Diaz, guys like that. A&E did one also where they had Carrie's girls both on there. Um, they had Kevin's wife on there. They had Kevin on there quite a bit. Um, the WWE one they also brought, of course you had Michael Hayes on there for a while and that kind of thing. I really wish the one guy that wasn't on the one with WWE that I think if he would have been around, he probably would have done it was Bill Mercer. Um, Bill Mercer was the commentator for World Class for so many years, and he knew where every skeleton was buried. Um, Even more than David Manning, even more than
Wasn't
anybody
he?
else, Ken Mantell or anybody else.
Wasn't he in the world class one they did about 10 years ago? That I want to say Gary Hart was involved with it somehow. It wasn't a WWE version. It was a different version. I think Bill Mercer was in that production because they went back to the Sportatorium, and I think they had Bill there.
Yeah, he was a part of that one. I'm trying to remember who put that together. It may have been, I think it was the guys from Dark Side of the Ring that
Okay.
put it together. And yes, Bill Mercer was a part of that one. Bill Mercer's a legend in Texas sports, but his voice is most tied to world class championship wrestling.
I
He
always
was the
thought it
voice of the
was.
Cowboys. Hmm?
Oh, he was of the Cowboys. I did not know that.
He was the voice of the Cowboys for a while. He was the voice of the Rangers for a while. Yeah, he was the first voice of the Rangers, in fact.
Okay, and I know he was there when Lee Harvey Oswald got shot.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, he was working for Texas State Network when that happened. He was there when Kennedy got shot. Yeah, he was around for a lot of stuff. I was fortunate enough to get to meet him several times, and when we inducted him in the Texas Sports Hall of Fame here in Waco, got a chance to sit down and really talk to him for a little bit. We talked for probably 20 minutes. I could have sat there for 20 hours, man. I promise. Just the way that he talked about the stuff and everything, tremendous. Absolutely, and tremendous man. I have yet to find anybody that has a bad word to say about Bill Mercer.
Jamie, I have a question for you
Certainly.
before I keep getting sidetracked. I'm sure you're looking at my eyes, but what is that door behind you? How do they cut it like that?
That I am in a basement. That's my little podcasting room, and let me see if I can. All right, this way. And it's nothing but
It's a crawl space.
yeah, nothing but a crawl space back there. That's all.
I was just curious. I was like, why does it? I was like, is that like a midget door? What's going on here?
No,
Like, I
eventually.
know you guys are wrestling. I'm like, is Hornswoggle gonna jump out at me or something?
Eventually, I'm going to get because I do a crap load of wrestling podcasts. I don't have a background. I'm going to get something to put over top of it. But yeah, you're not the first person that has asked me about the door.
If you get the green screen behind you, that way you could put a like what Rich has up behind you. And supposedly with the green screen behind you, you won't fade away into it. Like whenever sometimes you see them move and they're like disappear.
Okay.
With the green screen
Yeah,
behind
right.
you, it will keep it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of like that door. You should put like Hornswoggle or like one of the midget wrestlers' doors on it and be like, is it really his door or not?
Yeah, I've had a couple people. I used to have it, my desk turned around the other way, and this is like my grandchildren's playroom in the basement, and there's a pink hobby horse. And when I first came down, I had the computer pointed a different direction, and everybody loved. I get all kind of comments about the pink hobby horse in the background. So then I turned it around so all the kids' toys wouldn't be.
You need to put like a star's name on that door, James. That's all you need. That's all you need. That's all you need. You could like hang it right on that corner, right beside your earpiece in the bottom, and put it right there, and people would be like, "Is it? What's going on?"
Jimmy Hoffa nameplate.
Jimmy
you can
Hoffa,
pull it off.
There's a good one. I remember Jimmy Hoffa. That was a big deal.
Jimmy Hoffa's hiding in Jamie Ward's house.
Well, he wasn't underneath MetLife Stadium.
So they say.
Yeah.
They did check. They did dig deep. They didn't find him.
Well, man, I know we had asked you for an hour, and you've given us an hour and 10. I definitely appreciate you being with us tonight.
My pleasure. And do you mind if I mention the podcast that I'm on?
That was going to be my next thing, man. Tell everybody where to get a hold of you. I know we kid one of the guys on the network about he has a laundry list of places you can find him. You literally do have a laundry list. So fire away with all these podcasts that you're a part of and all the ways that people can get a hold of you, man.
Hold on. I want to ask Jamie one more question.
Certainly.
Oh, good.
Kyle Schwarber did not hit a home run tonight.
Yeah, that's okay.
5 in a row, though. 5 in a row.
Don't worry about it. He's going to hit close to 60. The playoffs are going to come, and he's going to disappear. I'm not worried. This is how it works.
That's an every year thing, huh?
Yes. At least for the last couple of years, it's been that way. And even if you count the last game of the 2022 World Series against Houston, he might hit a home run here or there, and then he disappears. It is what it is. But
yeah, I didn't want to talk about it, but I did hear the Swervers because I don't know what you guys all went over. I didn't know what you guys went over or not, so I didn't want to rehash stuff. But I figured the Swerver thing didn't come up.
Yeah, the streak is over, unfortunately. But hey, it is what it is. As long as they win tomorrow night in Boston, I'll be a happy camper. Just win the series. That's how you get back, no matter what team you are. Win your series, and that's how you can get back into a pennant race.
You got to feel good for Don Mattingly. That's all I know.
I've been calling for Thompson's head for a couple of years, so I have no problem with Mattingly getting the job. I didn't want Joey Cora to get it. I want him to give Mattingly a chance. His son is the assistant general manager or something with the Phillies. So, it's a family affair. Give him the shot. He's never gotten one before. Anything can happen once you get to October.
And he was that close last year.
The big thing is getting to October. So it's.
Yep.
Well, from a Pittsburgh fan, I hope you don't make it there.
That's fine. I buried Sidney Crosby earlier on, so I'm fine with that. I'm jealous of the Penguins because you guys got cups. I like the Steelers because they used to beat the Cowboys. They're like my number 2. I don't know why you re-signed Aaron Rodgers. That's another story for another day.
Wait, did we sign him?
That's what I heard. They didn't. I'd be
as far as I know, he was
Yeah.
just here and didn't even meet with the team.
Oh, okay. Because my son-in-law told me, and he's a big Packer fan, and so I was.
I hope he goes to Minnesota.
He went to Pittsburgh, but there's nothing been.
Oh, I'm happy to hear
Steelers
that.
are carrying on OTAs like he's not going to be there. So
okay, good.
Please God.
You got the Penn State quarterback. I like him, so you got a shot.
I like Will Howard.
I like Howard too. I like them both. So
well, here's the other bad thing. They are changing. Did you see that today, Rich? They are changing hours complete. They're rebuilding the guy. They're changing everything on him.
There are a couple things that need changed on him because he doesn't have touch.
They are changing everything on him. So who knows how long this configuration is going to take.
Well, but he's another one of those guys. Like who were you talking about, Jamie? That doesn't have any touch.
McCarthy. He just fires.
No. Yeah, JJ McCarthy. Yeah, the Allard doesn't have any touch either. He can't drop one in the bucket if he has to.
No, I like his size though. I think he can be something under the proper training, and it sounds like Pittsburgh's going to do that. Maybe they can straighten him out because quarterbacks Penn State quarterbacks have never really been that great in the NFL.
Kerry Collins.
Yeah. He did get a Super Bowl. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. You know, Bobby Brister got a Super Bowl too when he left her.
Yeah, and he also became a cult favorite in Philadelphia there for a little bit. We always get the guys years later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thanks for stealing our guy too.
Hey,
we went into that.
You blame
Oh,
Jerry
did you?
Jones for that one. That's not our fault. Jerry Jones is a moron. God
No,
bless
we
Jerry
got
Jones.
into that.
I just thought it was funny. I thought it was funny.
I didn't know they had such hatred for the Steelers. I thought maybe they were just doing it to screw McCarthy over, but.
Oh, they were.
But well, hey,
yeah, they just got the bonus on McCarthy.
We'll take it. I have no problems with that. But guys, I
I
do
don't understand why the Steelers leaked who they were picking. I don't care who you are. You don't tell who you're picking.
Because that's the NFL. There's always
man, we appreciate you. Yeah. Tell everybody where they can get you and.
Yeah, but real quick, you can catch me just about every week on the Other Ship Wrestling podcast with my buddies Drew Samuels, William Merriweather, and Michael Herrick. More than half the time we're talking wrestling, but they also do shows on music. They did like 80s love songs or something this past week. I haven't listened to it yet.
80s love song.
Yeah, 80s love songs.
That would be like some Top Gun, like Take Your Breath Away.
Probably stuff like that. I haven't listened to it yet. I'm not a big music guy, but I will listen to it. But we've also had shows recently about The Office, your favorite Thanksgiving meals, Christmas meals, what you get your wife for Valentine's Day or girlfriend, all that kind of good stuff. You never know what we're going to talk about on the Other Ship. You can also catch me with Ray Russell on the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. I do the Georgia Championship Wrestling 1982 podcast with Ray as part of his regional wrestling podcast. Also with Ray, I do his Regional Wrestling Unreal series, where we take a look at Southwest Championship Wrestling from 1983 and Mid-South Wrestling from 1982. Well, very similar to this. We're on the screen and the show's rolling, and we just give our opinions. As Rich just mentioned,
do you change years, Jamie? Like, or do you just stay in 1983, or do you like go to 1984 eventually, or
eventually? That particular show will work our way up. I've been on like 15 different wrestling podcasts talking about all different genres and years. So you name the subject, and I can get through a show usually, just talking about it. Rich was recently a co-host on Stick to Wrestling with John McAdam. I've been on 18 of his shows since 2019. John has an excellent product. I've known John since 1986. We go way back in the wrestling fandom together. So
good.
Check out John's show if you ever get a chance. Bob Smith. I was recently on Bob Smith's Outdated Wrestling Hour. Bob is the former editor of Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and I'll be on his show like once every 6 months. And in the world of wrestling, you never know where I'm going to pop up. Or now, the world of sports, you never know where I may pop up every now and then. So, hey, I really enjoyed being on here tonight. Thanks for asking me, guys.
Jamie, just to let you know, I was 1 row away when Mike Schmidt hit his 500th home run in Pittsburgh. I was 1 row away from that ball.
Oh, so you were on the camera then?
I was 9 years old.
Oh, beautiful. Off Bruce Keeson, I believe, if I remember.
I believe you're right. Yeah, I believe you're right.
I remember Schmidt and Keeson getting in a fight around 1977 or 78 where Schmidt ended up breaking his thumb and was out like the rest of the year. And he didn't even need to charge him just because he threw at him. Come on, guys, it's baseball. Bob Gibson threw at somebody every single game.
Yeah, but would you want to charge Bob Gibson?
Hell no.
Not everybody's as stupid as Robin Ventura. Not everybody's as stupid as Robin Ventura to charge at guys like that.
Yeah.
Listen, Bob Gibson was just trying to get him off the plate. All right, back him up a little bit.
Exactly.
Well, I am sorry I was late. Work sometimes does stuff to you. I was hoping I had my Mike Schmidt jersey behind me, but I didn't realize I had my Robin Yount jersey up behind me.
I remember when Robin Yount broke into baseball. That was a big deal. I don't think he ever played a game in the minors, did he? He went right to the majors.
I think he went straight up.
Came up as a shortstop, though, and then moved to center field.
Right. And then Mulder came in shortly after him.
The next year. Yeah. Yount was a rookie in 77. Mulder was a rookie in 88.
And they were out there for years.
I have a Paul Molitor bobblehead somewhere. I don't think it's up here right now. I think it's downstairs still. But I do have one.
Man, you're welcome anytime. I'll shoot you the stuff for the open mic as well if you want to jump in on that sometime.
Certainly, I'll join in on Tuesday nights if I'm not recording the other ship. That's normally our recording night. So if I'm not on, I'll jump in with you guys. I'm sorry to have more time with you, Adam. Maybe I'll be.
Yeah, that's right. I have a feeling we're gonna make up time.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Yeah, you can get me at Sports Talk, on Twitter, guys. Driving to the Top Productions on YouTube. Ad McNally on Facebook. That's the 3 channels I got going tonight. And Rich.
You can get me on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it this week, Big Rich 8371 on Facebook. Just my name, Rich Richardson. Monday nights, we do Fans Chat in the Diamond here, 9 Eastern, 8 Central.
Tuesdays, you're available Monday nights, let me know too, Jamie.
Okay.
Yeah, we do a baseball roundtable kind of thing.
Yeah, Mondays are usually free, so I'll join you sometime.
Sometimes we do managerial look, and then sometimes we do in-depth look.
Okay.
Yep.
I kind of
Tuesday's open mic night. Yeah, Tuesday's open mic. We get into whatever you want to get into. And, of course, here, Steel City Sports Talk every Wednesday, 9 Eastern, 8 Central. So, for everybody that's been a part of this thing tonight, including our special guest, Jammie Ward, and for Adam over there, I am Big Rich. Till next week. So long, everybody.